To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
Hey now! Happy Friday, friends! It's a Listener DMs Friday. I've got a ton of them, and I'm going to get to those coming up in just a second. Thank you for tapping into this episode. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and if you don't mind, leave a review. I would appreciate 5 stars, but whatever you think this is worth. The Listener DMs, by the way, cover a lot of different territory. However, before I get to those, I want to comment on the jobs numbers that just dropped. StatsCan says in the month of May, we created 88,000 new jobs. For context, economists were expecting that we created about 10,000 new jobs, and StatsCan says it's 88,000. You know, I don't have any actual reason to not believe StatsCan other than sometimes their numbers don't pass the smell test. 88,000 new jobs in an economy that has shrunk in the last 2 quarters and in 3 of the last 4 quarters. Out of nowhere, we just created 88,000 new jobs at a time when this government is trying desperately to produce something in the way of good news. By the way, if that's legit, if we actually did create 88,000 new jobs, that's great. That is definitely a step in the right direction. But in the last year, we've added 239,000 new working age people in this country. So 88,000 isn't going to cut it when you brought 239,000 people here. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. The 88,000. Hey, again, good news. It doesn't pass the smell test for me. It just doesn't. They say a lot of new jobs in construction. That I believe, even though I hear from a lot of construction workers that can't find work anywhere. They say a lot of it was in hospitality. Could that be temporary for the FIFA World Cup? It was Ontario and BC that led the country in job creation. I guess we'll wait for the June numbers and see what happens there. Let me get into the first DM here. This one is from Dan. Jersey Mike's review for you, Scott. I tried them in Markham. Really good. Expensive. But what isn't in liberal Canada? Dan, thank you very much. Jersey Mike's is another franchise that I am looking forward to getting from America into Canada. They're opening up a location near me. Jersey Mike's is a place I've been going to in the States for a while. I'm going to tell you, let them, is it Jersey it up or Mike it up or something like that? They'll ask you at the end if you want like the special treatment, and they put sauce and things like that on it, a little bit of sandwich oil. It's good. Welcome, Jersey Mike's. And Dan, thank you for that review. Next one is from Pavel. Hey, Scott, non-political DM for Friday. When you first got into radio, did you ever consider a different career path? You've got the best podcast in Canada. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, and I'm glad to have you listening. Yeah, I've talked about this before, I think on other podcasts. When I first got into radio, I was in my late teens, and I was working as a DJ in a lot of different bars at the time, but my plan was always to go to university and become a lawyer. That was what I wanted to do. Thank God I didn't. I would certainly love a lawyer's pay, but the work is not great. I'm happy doing radio. I'm happy doing podcasting, and soon, politics as well. Let me get to some audio. I promised you I would weave some content into this, and this next clip is something that's getting a fair bit of attention on social media. A Brantford, Ontario city councillor named Greg Martin explains why he will not be performing land acknowledgements. He says it's virtue signaling, and both sides of the treaty aren't being recognized under these acknowledgements. Interesting take. Let's hear what he has to say.
Any questions? Member Martin?
More a comment. I don't believe in land acknowledgement. I think it's virtue signaling. I don't think it really means much of anything. And there's no reciprocal acknowledgement. Like, what about my treaty rights? They do nothing to acknowledge that some of the land was sold, some of the land was traded for services. They just say everything's under claim. So it has to be a two-way street, and I don't see that that's happening right now. So I don't believe in doing land acknowledgements, and I won't be supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments?
Huh. Interesting. I don't really have an opinion on that other than we're supposed to do them. It was part of the recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I don't know that there's any harm in doing land acknowledgements. I think it is nice to reflect back on our past from time to time. Interesting. I need to think about that a little bit more. As of right now, I think that it's expected that we do a land acknowledgement when we have gatherings in public places, and I don't have a problem with that. But I'm open to hearing more perspective from people like Brantford Councillor Greg Martin, apparently is who that was. Let me get to the next DM. This one is from Crystal. Hi, Scott. Catching up on the pod, and you were talking about the recession. You must have heard history repeats itself. Back in the 1900s, we had Spanish flu, then the Great Depression. Now we had COVID and a recession. I don't think we will get to a Great Depression, though. Crystal, that is a fine observation. Thank you very much for that. You know, history does repeat itself in a lot of different ways. There's some eerie patterns in history. But one thing I want to point out, though, is comparing our current situation to the fact that we had Spanish flu and then the Great Depression. I don't think that's the same as COVID and the current recession, only because I think that the Spanish flu situation was a lot more organic. Perfectly reasonable to believe that back in the early 1900s, when people didn't understand how viruses transmitted, that if it got into a community, it could spread through the community very quickly. The Spanish flu, I don't know where it came from, but I never heard any stories about people eating a bat at a wet market in Wuhan. COVID doesn't seem as organic. You know, I'm learning more and more about COVID, and I'm not ready to make a proclamation here by any means, but it doesn't seem like something that is exactly as we were told. It was just a virus that developed organically and spread across the world. Not sure it's the same thing. And I do agree with you that, no, we're not going into a depression per se, but I do think the economy is going to get worse before it gets better. Crystal, thanks a lot for sending that in. I appreciate it. Next one is from David. Scott, just listened to the pods this week. I feel like Carney is just amazing at being able to stick-handle people. He's like a perfect salesman. He tells you enough of what you want to hear and makes you believe he's doing a lot for you by creating these councils. But in reality, nothing is being done other than his objectives. And people keep coming back to him thinking he's better than the other options. I'm just dumbfounded that there isn't enough people to go against him and his inner circle. Also, from last week, I get the Freeland comments. As bad as they were, but they were nonviolent. How long until the situation is so bad in the recession and truths start to get leaked out of embezzlement and other atrocities that people start to rebel? When you build a kingdom and oppress your people, how long till they rebel? Just saying, I think Canada is in for a bad recession, and I think that's why they're trying to spy on people so they can get ahead of the rebellion that may happen. I hope not, but damn, things are getting bad fast. David, thank you for that one as well. That's an interesting perspective. I'm not going to debate you on that one per se. I, too, am glad that the confrontation with Chrystia Freeland, I talked about that last week, by the way. I'm glad that it was nonviolent. I've been afraid of civil unrest for a long time. You know, we got a little taste of it during COVID, and the government shut that down quick. I mean, they were freezing people's bank accounts because they did not want that to spread. When they saw the public getting angry, they went full-blown authoritarian. Could civil unrest happen again? Well, like I say all the time with crime, crime thrives on poverty. Civil unrest, I think, gets more and more likely as the economy gets worse, as more people have to go to food banks, as more people have to tell their kids and their family members no, as more people have to decline the essentials, as more people lose their homes. I think that gets more likely. How about that? I'm going to go on to another clip here. Let's get to this. The Prime Minister was asked yesterday about foreigners bringing their animosities and their political issues to our Canadian shores when they try and immigrate to Canada or become a refugee in Canada. Let's hear the Prime Minister's answer on this one.
You recently at an event said that when you come to this country, do not bring your animosities. What does your government plan to do against those who bring their animosities to this country and spread hatred?
Yeah. Well, there's a variety of answers to that question. It starts with whether the expression of those animosities are criminal. What this government is doing is taking a very tough and appropriate line on criminal expressions of hate, particularly. As you may know, Bill C-9 is working its way through Parliament. It will soon be law. We have fought hard for that. It's absolutely right to police hate, to stop intimidation of individuals, whether they're going to their synagogue, mosque, church, community center, where they've been subject to harassment, intimidation, online hate, etc. So, first, policing, where we play a role and we've reinforced. Secondly, the right laws, 6 pieces of legislation, the most important, C9, on hate. Then there is a broader set of issues, which, and part of the reason I said that in the broader context of that speech, is it's all of our responsibility as Canadians. What is our role as Canadians? What's the civic compact in Canada? And that civic compact is that we're all equal. Unity does not mean uniformity. We respect each other's differences, and we celebrate them. Now, I'm going to make an adjacent point because I think it's important. Let me make those are fundamental things, and we need to get better as all of us as a country in doing that.
Okay. I mean, that's a fine answer. That's very similar to Pierre Poilievre's position on this as well. But one thing I might encourage the Prime Minister to also consider, number one, C9 still has some flaws that need to be worked out. That's the first thing. Number two, let's not rely on legislation and police. We've all seen examples of things happening in our streets and wondered, why are the police not getting involved? Do they have proper instruction to do that? Are they enabled to do that? Do they think that if they do make arrests for what they perceive to be intimidation and hate, do they know that the Crown attorneys are going to back them up, or are they just wasting their time? I think that we need to have a bigger conversation about this. The last point I'd make on this, we've got to stop letting just everybody and anybody that wants to come here, come here. There should be a vetting process. If you're a radical extremist in your country, you're not going to fit in very well with what Mark Carney just said. So maybe you shouldn't be allowed to come here. We should be a little more serious with our citizenship and our permanent residency. It shouldn't go to everybody, and you should have to earn it. And frankly, I don't know that people are earning it right now, and that's part of our problem. Let's get to the next DM. This one is from Peter. Hi, Scott. I've been listening to your pod since day one. I don't think I've ever missed an episode. Please keep up the great work. I thought I'd send in my first ever listener DM. So here it goes. In the last few days, I've seen articles on how all 6 Canadian banks posted stronger than expected Q2 profit growth and how grocery store theft has become a national crisis that's costing retailers $10 billion. If this is not a clear indicator of how our economy is doing, then I don't know what is. The elites, the bankers, etc., they all get richer while regular folks struggle to put food on the table. Yet the media still covers for Mark Carney. Also, have you been following the story of Henry Novak over in the UK? What are your thoughts? Peter, great message. Great message. Yes, I will confirm the big 6 Canadian banks did have stronger than expected Q2 profit growth. Great. Yes, there is a record number of Canadians stealing food, among other things. Our economy is struggling. We're not getting a real picture of what's really going on here because the news won't cover it. The news media is trying to make it seem like everything is normal. If you're struggling, that's you, but the vast majority are getting ahead. That's the messaging from the government, and the media is backing it. Why don't we have a media cruise at every food bank? Just covering how many people came in that day. Why isn't there a ticker on the screen when I'm watching the news that tells me how many people lost their home that day or how many people lined up at the food bank? They seem to be able to pull those numbers for COVID pretty easily. That was on the screen nonstop, 24/7. I'd like to know a little more, and I'd like the media and the government to be a little more honest about the situation we're in. Let's get to another one from the Prime Minister. This is on privacy rights.
We want to, we will ensure that our data privacy and children are protected, number one. Number two, that we will ensure our sovereignty is reinforced, and we will do everything we can to make sure that AI is working for people as opposed to replacing or working at cross purposes. Thank you.
The Prime Minister rolled out his new AI strategy yesterday. I'm going to be as fair as I can here in saying that it's not really a policy. It's kind of a framework, but it is so light on details, it's really impossible to know where the government is going with this. There's a suggestion out there that the Prime Minister rushed to get this AI strategy out, got everybody all hyped up for it, even though it wasn't ready because the technical document leaked on it to the media. Listen, are we going to get serious about this or not? By the way, there should be a much bigger conversation about AI. We're talking about technology that is going to cost tens of thousands of Canadians their jobs. That is a real fear that regular people are fearing right now. They're going to lose their job because of AI. And then what? Well, maybe we should talk about how AI gets introduced. Maybe we should update the labor code. Maybe you can't be replaced by AI without 5 years of severance pay. Something. We got to have a conversation about this in a common sense way. Yeah, let's use AI to make it a lot easier, to make us more productive than we already are. But we're not going to throw out people to replace them with AI. Why would we do that? It doesn't make any sense. We need to have a serious conversation, bipartisan, about AI. And hopefully before the Prime Minister rolls out the rest of whatever it was he was trying to announce yesterday, then that'll be part of the conversation. Next DM. This one is from Chris. I listened to your pod from yesterday about the recession. My thought was, what timing? Now you know for a fact Trump will have us by the balls when talks resume. What an effing mess. Chris, if Canada is in a recession, I don't know what the third quarter is going to say. I mean, if we created 88,000 new jobs, it's reasonable to assume the economy grew at least a little bit. So I don't know how long this recession is going to last. I just personally don't trust the numbers. Does Donald Trump have a lot more leverage in negotiations? Yeah, because our plan to make ourselves our own best customer isn't exactly working out very well. There are still no shovels on the ground. Our deficit is almost double what Justin Trudeau was running. We're not exactly in a position of strength here right now. You know what I mean? That's a great DM, though. Thank you very much. Next one is from Danielle. Hey, Scott, I just finished the Friday episode, and your comments about renewing your passport got me thinking. One thing I'm genuinely thankful for is that a lot of employers now offer personal days in addition to vacation time. At my company, we get 3 days a year to use however we need. I'm actually using one next Wednesday because I have 2 doctor's appointments in the morning. Then I need to take my car in for a recall in the afternoon. It's nice not having to burn a vacation day just to deal with life's administrative nonsense. I also noticed you mentioned teachers potentially needing to take a day off work to renew their passport, which would mean taxpayers paying for a substitute teacher for the day. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law are both teachers, so I know how hard teachers work, as do the rest of us. And maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but I'd hope things like passport renewals could be handled during the 8 weeks off they get in the summer, or maybe during the 2 weeks at Christmas, or the week of March break, maybe even on a PD day. I know teachers don't necessarily stop working during those periods, but I also know they aren't teaching students daily until 4:30 or developing professionally until 4:30 every single PD day either. Danny, great message. And man, my voice is going. I have had a hell of a week here, friends. A lot of podcasting and a lot of radio broadcasting and a whole bunch more. So I'm going to try and get through the rest of these. But Danny, that's a great message. I know a lot of people probably feel that way. But I will also tell you, though, that we need to take a serious look at how we deal with teachers, how we structure their year, how we pay them, things like that. I think that there's really not a lot of incentive if you're a teacher to go and use your summertime off to do some of these administrative things, particularly if it needs to be done in October or December or January or April or what have you during the school year. There's not a lot of incentive because they get a lot of days off. I mean, we all know about the summertime. We all know about the time at Christmas. We all know about March break and Thanksgiving and all these other things. You should see the amount of days that some teachers take off, and it's almost no difference to their pay. We're going through a hell of a lot of supply teachers right now, and those long-term teachers as well, the fill-ins. Something's got to change there. There really does. If you've got all that time off between the summer and Christmas and March break, yeah, sure, great. Use your time off to do your stuff. That's the way your year is set up. You've got time off built in. But I don't blame them if they do it on a work day. I really don't, because there's not a lot of incentive to not. But that's going to be a labor conversation and teacher contract negotiation, and I don't want to get into that today. Either way, point taken. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Now, as in the physical world, it's not just what we build, it's how we build. We'll build sustainably, linking new data center development with expanding clean energy and robust environmental standards. We'll build inclusively, in full partnership with Indigenous peoples. As I said, we'll support Indigenous-led AI research, leveraging programs from Canadian Heritage, the National Research Council, and industry partners like Mila. And we will build in solidarity with Canadian workers, unions, and post-secondary institutions. As in the physical world.
Okay. You know, I think with Mark Carney, these are all just words. And I think that's what we have to accept. When the Prime Minister or a cabinet minister comes out and makes an announcement, that's great, all well and good. We can talk about that, sure. But we've actually got to wait to see the shovels in the ground, or we've got to wait to see it in practice. I don't know. The Prime Minister, they're talking about how we're going to build data centers with Indigenous people. Okay, all right. I don't know that too many Indigenous people are all that thrilled about the data centers that we're building because they are going to have a massive environmental impact. Now, they also create a lot of money, they say. I don't know. I will trust but verify. How about that? When it comes to this Prime Minister, I don't believe it's actually going to happen when he says it until I actually see it happening. And that's just because of years and years of programming. 10 years of Trudeau and Carney making grand announcements and nothing ever actually happens. I'm waiting for shovels in the ground. I'm waiting for things to turn around. I'm waiting for the best deal with America to get finalized. None of these things are happening right now. Where's the 500,000 homes a year? Where's that? It's crazy.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Thank you for calling the Bombas Comfort Line. Bombas make socks, slippers, tees, and underwear made with the highest quality materials. Press 1 for comfort, 2 for style, 3 for donation. You chose style. Bombas has styles for whatever you enjoy. You can run in Bombas, lounge in Bombas, dress them up, dress them down, but always give back in Bombas. Because with every item purchased, another is donated. Bombas, comfort worth calling for. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com and use code AUDIO.
Next DM. Scott, can we please, for the love of God, call out this Saab fighter aircraft thing? They make it seem like Saab is going to bring all these jobs to Canada if we go with them. Canada builds so much of the F-35 already, contributing to tens of thousands of jobs. Why not go full in on what our military needs and expand on what we produce for it? Sorry, my streams are full of Saab Canada propaganda. Almost every other ad. Grant sent that message in. Grant, thank you. Saab wants to sell us fighter jets. Canada should not buy Saab's fighter jets because they're not stealth. That's the first thing. The industry standard and the one that our NATO allies are using are the F-35. We've already ordered the F-35s. The Prime Minister is considering canceling that F-35 purchase for an unprecedented second time to go with Saab. And Saab's trying to sweeten the pot, saying we'll do some of the manufacturing in Canada, creating Canadian jobs. The Saab jets are cheaper, but cheaper is not better. Not necessarily anyway. We've got to buy the F-35. The Prime Minister should stop delaying. If he's using that as a bargaining chip for Kuzma negotiations, fine, I get it. But let's hurry up and get something done because our Canadian forces deserve the best. And by the way, foreign countries lobbying the Canadian people. You've got Saab lobbying the Canadian people, regular folks with commercials on mainstream TV and radio. Buy our jet. You've got that company from South Korea running commercials that Peter Mansbridge voiced. Former voice of the National, urging us to buy their submarines. Maybe they don't understand, but our government doesn't listen to us. They're wasting their money lobbying the people because the government doesn't care what we think. We could all agree. Go with the Saab. And if they want the F-35, that's what they're going to buy. They don't listen to people. So, hey, listen, whoever that Korean company is, whoever is in charge at Saab, you're wasting your money. Stop. They don't listen to us anyway. Let me do back-to-back DMs here. This one from Andrea. Scott, I work for a real estate lawyer. We had 2 powers of sale in the last 2 months. I'd never done one before. How telling is that? How telling is that? I believe it. That's the sort of stuff that I hear every single day, and you'd never know about it by watching the news or listening to our politicians. Let's do one more from... No, you know what? We're good with Carney, right? I think you guys have heard enough of Carney for one day and for 1 week. Let's get to a little bit of another side of the coin. Yesterday, Melissa Lantsman, deputy leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, was doing a news conference in front of the House of Commons. This is about 90 seconds long.
I want to talk for a second about what Canadians are talking about at kitchen tables and boardroom tables, and what this strategy lacks. Privacy, first and foremost, and the safety and the security that was promised in this is nowhere to be found in the document, certainly no details. And I think that, look, Canadians at kitchen tables and boardroom tables are concerned about the increased invasion into Canadian privacy with not only this AI strategy and what it will bring, but what we see in the House of Commons currently. On one hand, the Prime Minister says that AI puts Canadians' privacy under threat, or he said today that Canadian privacy was under threat. And of course it is. It's under threat by this very government. This government that's promising consumer privacy legislation, but it's putting privacy at risk with bills like C-22, the lawful access bill that's still running through the House, C-8, the cybersecurity amending the Telecommunications Act, which we've seen a number of organizations raise privacy concerns, certainly a number of members in this House and from our side raise privacy concerns on, Bill C-11, Bill C-18, Bill C-9, all with privacy concerns. In fact, the government doing a full reversal on taxing Canadians because their legislation doesn't work, so an admission.
That's good. I think we've heard enough there. Melissa Lantsman reacting to the Prime Minister's AI strategy announcement, whatever that was. I'm going to go with framework, not strategy. How about that? It was really lacking in details. And yes, we do have more concerns on privacy. In particular, when it comes to privacy, who do you trust? The government says, trust us. And yet they put in Bill C-22 and they don't want to back down on that. Because of Bill C-22, we have tech companies that are threatening to pull out of Canada if it becomes law. You just won't be able to use their service within our borders because they're so concerned about what that bill will mean for our privacy. I don't necessarily trust the tech giants with our privacy. I don't. I think they've got the best of intentions, but I also don't think that they're particularly thorough, and I don't think we matter much to them anyway. The government protecting our privacy? I mean, they can say they do, and the news isn't going to contradict them, but when they put in Bill C-22 and refuse to change it, despite the concerns of Canadians, you got to wonder, why do they want this so bad? What is it about C-22? What power is it? Is it the secret ministerial orders? Is it I don't even want to speculate. They really want it, and Canadians are rejecting it by and large. And the government isn't backing down. That should tell everybody something. It should at least make you ask why. Next DM. This one is from Jordan. Something that has been coming up recently in conversations. I know 5 people who are either moving in with their parents or grandparents or selling their home to create a multi-generational living arrangement as all parties buy into one home. The goal is to reduce costs across the board. It's for elder care, child care, housing, food, and transportation, plus improving the quality of life for everyone involved. 3 of my coworkers are actively looking to do this, including one who is 46, selling their house at the same time as their parents to be able to afford a nice country homestead in southwestern Ontario. 2 of my family members, 37 and 35 years old, have already moved in with their parents to do the same. It feels like a very interesting response to the current economic climate that we're in. For a long time, they wanted everyone to have their own home. But as we all know, that possibility is gone for the majority of us. Jordan, thank you very much. I've read some crazy stats lately on the amount of people that are moving in with their parents as adults. And that's just a sign of where we're at with the economy. That's a sign of where things are at and how bad it's got. You know, when it used to be the dream, right? After you hit about 20 years old, like when you graduated high school, you had a choice. You could work and save up and buy yourself a nice house in your mid-20s, mid to late 20s. You could go to university, and that plan might be delayed a little bit, but right around the same time frame. You'd start a family, everything was good. The thought of a 20-something being able to afford a home right now, it's absolutely impossible. The amount of money you have to put down to get that home, it's crazy. Let me read you some stats. These are from Realtor.com. 58% of adults who moved away from home later moved back, including 15% who have done so multiple times. Other findings from their study, 75% of adult children say living with family is a smart financial strategy. 26% of adult children moved home to deliberately save money. 62% of adult children say the stigma around moving back home has faded. 63% of adult children say they no longer feel embarrassed or judged about their living arrangement. And 45% of adult children say unaffordable housing is the main factor driving them back home. It's practical in a lot of ways. It really is. It's practical. Yeah, you can save a ton of money if you've got 2 families living in one house. But let's not get crazy here, everybody. Let's not pretend for a second that this is normal. What you heard in those statistics is normalizing it. I'm glad there's no stigma. There shouldn't be either. Hey, if life just got so expensive in this country that you've got to move back in with your parents, I get it. I totally do. But this isn't normal. Nobody should dismiss this and say, oh, it's fine. Yeah, everybody's doing it. You should too. It's not normal. This economy is not working for the middle class. It stopped working for them years ago. And frankly, nobody is doing anything to fix it. Taxes have got to come down. Interest rates have got to come down. Something has got to be done. I don't know that this government cares. I really don't. I feel like they're in it for themselves. Let's get to another one from Melissa Lantsman. This is her speaking yesterday in Ottawa.
The Prime Minister is telling Canadians that he is cutting costs in the public service. And today we see the PBO disagree with all of that. Personal expenses are projected to grow from $69.2 billion to $86 billion by 2030, 2031. And despite promising to borrow $65 billion this year in the spring economic statement, which we certainly just had, the government is on track to borrow $72 billion. That's a $7 billion overrun that was found today. Canadians certainly deserve a government that manages their money like it matters and not use Canadians as a credit card to bolster programs which don't work and Canadians don't need. And this, again, is the only Prime Minister to have driven our economy, the Canadian economy, the only economy in the G7 into a recession.
Melissa Lantsman, she's absolutely right. That, according to the Parliamentary Budget Officer. Remember when we did the spring economic statement? What was that, 2-3 weeks ago? Yeah, it turns out the numbers were way off. The deficit isn't $65 billion, it's $72 billion. For reference, if we had not had an election and Justin Trudeau were still in charge, his deficit projection was $36 billion. Now it's $72. What are we getting for this? Is anybody outraged? Is the news creating a hype about this? Are they even covering it? No, they're really not. And that's part of the problem. Next one. Anonymous, please. Hearing all the discussion about a recession over the past week made me realize how many people I know that have packed up and moved to another province or to the U.S. I work in the steel industry, and over the past couple of years, we've had 2 employees move to the U.S., with one actively thinking about moving there right now. One has moved out east, and another currently has their house on the market to move out east, and one actively considering Europe. All of them either make 6 figures or very close to it. They're dual income households. Some of them don't have kids, but have simply been stretched to the limit by the cost of living. Sad, because some of these people have been in our industry for over 15 to 20 years. Side note, did you know there is a departure tax in Canada? I had no idea you could potentially have to pay capital gains taxes on some assets before you leave the country. Just a final kick in the butt by the government as you walk out the door. Thank you very much, Anonymous, for that. I know there's a lot of people leaving. You know, holy cow. There is a ton of people. The visa process is very, very active right now. A lot of people are leaving, particularly young people. Some of them don't even have a visa. They're just going to go where it's cheaper and hope that they can work under the table. I don't blame people. What's happening now in Canada is not normal, and nor should we pretend it's normal. It's not the way it used to be, and it's not the way it has to be. This is just a government that is completely out of control, implementing their own agenda, and they don't really care about you. They're living real high on the hog. They've got their perks. They've got their massive salaries. God only knows what's happening under the table and behind closed doors. They're doing fine. They cannot relate to you and I, and nor do they care. They've got an agenda that they're implementing. Who do they work for? Did you say us, the taxpayers? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Because it seems like a lot of what they're doing is contrary to what would make a country successful. Last one. Second last. No, this is the last one. Scott, I don't even know where to start with this, man. This isn't really a question. It's more of a plea for help. I'm feeling completely lost about what to do moving forward here in Canada. I've been trying to convince myself that Canada is still the same country I grew up in, but I can't lie to myself anymore. It's changed, and not for the better. The government right now is messing everything up. The gaslighting on TV and social media is ridiculous. The things they're doing feel so shady, yet a ton of people still cheer it on. Our mainstream news has basically become state media at this point. It's so obvious. But when I say it out loud, people look at me like I'm crazy. The division in this country is brutal. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I don't hold any party colors. I just look at what's actually being done for regular people, especially the middle class. I'm lower middle class myself. My wife and I have fought our asses off to get where we are. We have 2 young teenage kids, and we're making the most money we've ever made, but we're still living with my in-laws and literally fighting over groceries and basic stuff like new shoes for the kids or a simple family outing to the movies. It's exhausting. And yet I see so many people still supporting this government. It honestly shocks me. I don't see a clear way out of this. I know you often say we just have to hold on till the next election, but with how divided everything is, that doesn't feel like enough right now. That's my plea, Scott. What the hell do we do? Thanks for listening, brother. I know it was a bit of a rant, and you like these things more concise, but that had to be said. That's reality in Canada right now. That's a real family. That's a real family. Living with their parents, still fighting over the basics that the kids need. They're making more money than they ever have. And this is their reality. I don't know anymore, man. You know, like, I can propose solutions, but he's also got a point. There's other people that no matter how common sense it is, no matter how much it makes sense, they're going to oppose it because it's a conservative idea and the media has brainwashed them into thinking conservatives are bad. They're not bad. We're regular people. We're normal people. We're your neighbors. We're your friends. We just see a different way to do things. And you know what? The simple way to do these things is put more money back in the middle class's pocket. We have to cut taxes. The Bank of Canada needs to slash interest rates. Those two things alone could start the recovery. I don't think either of them are going to happen, though. Not in a meaningful way. I know we're kind of on a downer point there. Yeah, boy, that one got me. Have yourselves an amazing weekend. God bless you. Take care of yourselves and each other. I will be back here on Monday with a brand new episode of Scott Fox After 9. Go ahead and sing it out, Pat. Pat James and the whole truth. Hey now.
Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
Lost support through telehealth, but it feels overwhelming and rushed? Check out OrderlyMeds.com now. OrderlyMeds.com was built to be different. Here, you connect with real doctors who take the time to understand your goals, review your eligibility, and guide you through a plan that's right for you. Orderly Meds provides access to proven GLP-1 medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide, including both name brand options and personalized compound versions when appropriate. So you have choices backed by clinical oversight, not guesswork. It's a simpler, more supportive telehealth experience designed around people who want clarity, care, and confidence in their weight loss journey. And your medication is delivered directly to your home in discreet packaging, so your experience stays private from start to finish. Do your research, ask the right questions, then visit orderlymeds.com/podcast for an exclusive offer. Again, that's orderlymeds.com/podcast. Individual results may vary, not medical advice. Eligibility required. See site for details.